Hello there everyone, and today I want to talk to you about how a month in Thailand changed my life. So there's chunks of my story that I've not talked about on YouTube yet, and when I do, which I will, this will become a whole lot more clear. 11 years ago I was a completely different person than I am now. In fact, I was quite a scared person, to be perfectly honest. I didn't really do anything, I didn't step outside of my comfort zone, and I liked the easy life. And a trip to Thailand was the first step that changed all of that. Just before we get into the video, if you ever want to chat live about mindset and mental health, I stream every Tuesday and Sunday at twitch.tv/mindsetbydave, Sundays in the evenings, Tuesday through the daytime, and I would love to have you as part of the conversation. So let's talk about Thailand. About 12 years ago, I took up Thai boxing in a local gym close to my house, and it was one of those things that I always took it up because at that particular time I was really struggling with mental health and really struggling with mental discipline. And I thought that a martial art would be something that would give me some of that mental health. And I tried out mixed martial arts for a little bit because it was becoming kind of hugely popular in the local area at the time. And I like to think of trying out mixed martial arts as like going to the buffet to find out what food you like. You know, I tried out a bit of jiu-jitsu, a bit of Thai boxing, a bit of wrestling, a bit of boxing, and I found that I really loved the Thai boxing. So I went and signed up and I started doing one-to-ones and group sessions. Now, a few months into that, things were my whole life was in turmoil, let's put it that way, and I just kind of wanted to escape. So I actually, completely and utterly out of character, booked a trip to Thailand for a month to train in a boxing gym where you'd be training 2 times in the day. So 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And you wouldn't believe the person I was when I turned up there. I turned up there having flown on the middle seat in a flight, kind of nervous, not really talking to the people either side of me the whole time, like 17.5 hours of just kind of anxiety and panic and wondering what on earth was going on. When I got over there, I was like, no, I'm not renting a scooter. Those things are far too dangerous. And I was really timid. And in fact, I got there at the night time when everyone was already asleep. And the next morning, I waited in my room until I heard everyone on their scooters disappear off to the training camp. And it wasn't until everyone had left, because I was tremendously shy, that I decided to step outside and, go for a bit of a walk. Now, I went for a walk in sort of the 3 main directions that you could go to from the gym that I was staying at. And there was really nothing within walking distance. And I'm here completely and utterly, my head's underwater. I don't know how I'm going to look after myself. I don't know how I'm going to get food. I don't know any of this stuff. And I go and speak to the person that is on the desk, and they say, oh yeah, sure, we'll get someone to take you for food on the back of a bike. Never been on a bike before, never been on a motorbike before. Get on the back of this bike, and I'm gripping the back of this bike for as if I'm just terrified the whole time. And they took me bizarrely to a Tesco Lotus they have in Phuket. And I went and did my shopping, and instead of, having the same bike take me home, I actually got a taxi back then. That was a little bit more in my wheelhouse. And I was like, right, okay, I've got my food, I've got my room, and I did the exact same thing when the afternoon training came around. I stayed in my room with my food, and I waited for everybody to leave. And then I heard, this time round, I was out getting food the first time, but in the afternoon, I was home when everyone came back. And I heard everyone chatting outside, and I was just a full-on bag of nerves. And I sat there and I was like, if you sit here and let this moment pass, you're going to do this again tomorrow. And you're going to do it again tomorrow afternoon, and you're going to do it again the next day. And an entire month of your life will have gone, and you've taken this chance, you've come this far. Why not go a little further? And I went outside, and all I said was, hi, my name's Dave, nice to meet you. And that was the hardest bit. That was the hardest thing I had to do that time in Thailand. I went back a year later, and we'll get to that in a minute, but that was the hardest thing I had to do that time in Thailand, because after that, I met a couple of guys. I met Dayan and I met Daryl. Daryl I'm still friends with to this day. Absolutely awesome dude, lives out in Norway. And we became like the 3Ds, everyone was calling us. Daryl, Dave and Dayan, we were basically inseparable. A great guy called Pierre was like, here you go, try out my bike, see how you get along with it. next morning I rented a bike. I mean, a scooter, not just a push bike. And slowly but surely throughout that entire journey, and I started to develop my confidence. I started to develop in the training. In the training, I got better, I got faster, I got stronger, I pushed harder, I pushed through things. And I remember one day on that holiday, I wanted to get a tattoo while I was out there. And because, what is a white person cliche other than going to Asia and getting an authentic tattoo, right? And I was riding along the road, the coast road, and I just found myself on the bike, and the word that sprung to mind was freedom. Freedom. In fact, it didn't just spring to mind. I was screaming it. I was shouting, freedom! Full on William Wallace moment. Maybe a little bit cringe. I was in my 20s at the time, and I was in Thailand, and I travelled for the first time in my entire life on my own. Every travel before that had been with people whose responsibility it was to look after the passports and the money and all of that stuff. And so I went and got this tattoo, which is very hard to show to the camera, actually. And, as is also the cliche with white people getting tattoos from other cultures, doesn't say freedom. It says free man. I like to think it says that I am related to Morgan Freeman. That'd be good. But it does say free man. So the whole time I was having people call after me because it said that a free man there means single. And it's not what it was supposed to mean. Anyway, that's a side note. This whole trip, the end of this trip, one goal I had in mind, at the end of this trip, was to get back and to do it all again. And following February, I went back to the same training camp. Obviously not the same people, that made a bit of a difference. And a week in, I thought, you know what, this time round, I'm going to do a fight while I'm out here. This is the kid that was bullied in high school. This is the kid that had never been in a fight in his life apart from as a punching bag. I decided to sign myself up for a fight. My instructor back home advised against it heavily. He was probably right, but I went for it anyway. And about another week in, I was there and I was totally and utterly ready to give up. I was totally ready to kind of just, what am I doing? I'm not ready for this. And then you become friends with people really, really quick when you work in a training camp together. And for the last 2 weeks, I've become friends with a guy called Adam. And that morning at training, I'm just about to walk up to my trainer and say, you know what, I've made a mistake, pull me out of this fight, it's not meant to happen. And the police turned up at the gym. And the police announced that Adam had died. Adam had been in a motorbike crash the night before, and he died. And that put absolutely everything in perspective for me. See, the person I was when I went in the June in 2009 was someone who didn't take chances, was someone who didn't take opportunities, was someone who had spent most of his life just trying to live an easy life and let experiences like that pass him by because they were just too uncomfortable. And I just took it as one great big massive sign that you've got to do what you've got to do while you're alive. And I carried on and I did the fight. 2 weeks later, I did the fight. The fight itself, one of the most intense experiences of my entire life. 5 3-minute rounds against a retired Thai boxer. He took it far too easy on me, so I was very, very lucky. But I remember I'd never had full shin-to-shin contact until the first round of that fight. And it's real. It hits you hard. But you've got so much adrenaline coursing through your system, you don't feel it in the fight. And if I can pick it out, I'll pop a picture here of what my leg looked afterwards. And I remember as well that by the third round, I was exhausted, I was tired, doubt had started setting in. I was like, what am I doing? And I got in the ring, got in the corner with my corner man. I was like, I need you to call this off. He's like, no, 2 more rounds, go out and do it. And I went out, I did it. I lost on points. Thankfully not for being knocked out, but I lost on points. And this is the thing, for me, I consider that moment to be one of the biggest successes, one of the biggest wins of my entire life. Because that timid, shy, fearful, victimized, bullied kid who grew up in Anfield got in a ring in Thailand, stood on his own 2 feet, got in way over his head, and went for it. And as a result, that moment is always going to be one of the most powerful experiences of my entire life. So I hope you found some enjoyment in this story. I hope some parts of it have resonated with you. And if you're there struggling with the challenges that are ahead of you, please just know 100% that you are capable of more than you think you are. You've just got to sometimes get out of that comfort zone. You don't have to do it by going to Thailand and getting, hooked up with a fight. But stepping outside of that comfort zone, learning your own capabilities, testing your own capabilities, one of the best things that you can ever do for yourself. Remember, if you do want to come and chat about this or anything else, mindset, mental health related, life, love, the journey, all of that stuff, then twitch.tv/mindset by Dave every Sunday from 7 p.m, every Tuesday from 10 a.m. And I would love to have you as part of the chat. Please do remember that if you do get some value from this channel, please hit that subscribe button, because I'd love for you to get this information there and ready for you whenever you come on YouTube.